How can you succeed in fish farming in rural Uganda? I want to tell you a little bit about our journey and how we've managed to do that. This is the last thing that we needed, and we finally got all the components together to fully form our hub. So big thanks to Gatsby Africa, who have paid for this hatchery. It's very kind of them to support our model. It's very exciting for us. It's been about 4 years. We've been pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps and trying to get everything together so that fish farmers here in Uganda can succeed and have everything they need to perform and to feed people with fish, make money, protect the environment, all these things. And the last bit that we needed was the hatchery. I'm about to give you a tour. I'm very excited. Let's see what the team's been up to. Long-time viewers of the hub. So this is, I'm Tim, by the way. Welcome to Uganda. This is part of RAD, Rural Aquaculture Development. And long-time viewers will recognise this road that we've walked down before. And now we've got the hatchery. Can you see? So not quite finished it, but most of it's been done. And this allows us to feed people in the district, because one thing you need is little fingerlings, they're called, or fry, and then they turn into fingerlings because they're about the size of your fingers. Put those into ponds, you grow them out, and then you can eat fish. So we'll start with this part of the hatchery. This is our water source. So you can see here, it's actually we're actually in a valley, so the water comes down this hill, gathers here, and then it flows downstream. But we've tapped it at this point, so some of it carries on, some of it comes in this pipe and goes into our ponds. And I'll give you a little tour layout. We started at the water source down there, but this is coming to the dry season now, and so one thing you don't want to do is run out of water. So this is going to be our reservoir pond. So you can see it's quite big, and there's a natural spring here. So we're going to collect water in here once it's finished, and then we can use that to fill up any of the ponds that we need to whenever we need to. Because remember, when you're breeding your fish, the water is quite a little amount of water in here, but it's coming in and out quite quickly because you're doing it once a month. You're going to drain all your pond, then you want to refill it quickly. So we can use this reservoir. We have the water source down there, which is our normal, so that just helps us with that. And then I'll show you where the males and females are going to be. See how beautiful it is? There's Pauson and Sam in the background. This is Timothy, he's just started with us. He's looking after this site because we're on a different place. But this here is one of the ponds, and we've got two that we've dug here, this one and that one, with the happers in it. So this is where we'll hold our fry. So once we've done the breeding, we'll collect our males and females, we'll collect the young fish, the fries they're called, and then we'll put them in happers, which are those things in the water. And then you can feed up your fry. And then once they're about 2 grams, that's what we try and sell them at. 5 grams sometimes, that's what we recommend. And then we sell that to farmers, and they can grow their fish. So these 2 ponds are for that, to hold our happers. And then we can also sex reverse them as well. So what that means is fish are actually genetically plastic, it's called. So that means they're quite often able to switch between male and female. You see it with clownfish. But tilapia, we're sort of exploiting that natural ability that they have, and we want male fish. The reason is males put on weight quicker. Of course, when you're eating fish, you want them to put on weight quicker. They eat better as well. So most tilapia are sex reversed, so you just, when they're younger, you give them a dose of testosterone, and that makes them more likely to turn into males, essentially. So you can then grow them that way. So that's what those 2 ponds are for. And then we've got a series of 3 ponds here. So this one, and this one. And that's going to be for our breeding. So we'll have a harvesting ditch at the bottom, which is a concrete slope. And you put your males and females in here for a month. They can breed, produce the eggs and then the fry. Then you drain the pond at the end of the month. You collect your fry, stick it in happers, so on and so forth. We also needed some ponds to hold our males and females when they're not breeding, and that's the ponds in the distance that I'll show you in a second. I thanked Gatsby Africa at the beginning of this because of course they funded the whole thing, but the hard work is mostly done by these gentlemen who aren't here, so they've just been camping out and digging this pond, and then they get paid a day rate to do that. So if you're watching this, thanks for all your hard work. I know it's back-breaking work digging out ponds. You can see some, look at these rocks that they've pulled out, huge, and they're heavy. This one here is even bigger. So yeah, it's hard work digging them out, so thanks to them. But these are the guys that have been doing it. There's another water source here, look, as well. So we've got plenty of water at the site, which is great, and we're well prepared for selling our fingerlings. We've actually got males and females in here, so let me just show you a bit about how they work and some of the differences between the males and females.
Give them as much as because for them they keep coming and taking, but no, see, like none has come.
So Timothy, can you just put on camera, can you just give some feed to the females, just a small amount? Sam was just saying that one thing he noticed between the females and the males is that the females don't have such a good feeding response. So you can see here, like, they just didn't come at all, whereas you can see the males still eating. They just have, that's part of the reason you want to grow males, not females. They're less interested in feed because they're less competitive in that sense. See, the response here is very strong from the males. So how many males have we got in here, Sam?
Yes, we have 112.
112 males. Wow, very good. And what size pellet are you feeding them?
We are feeding them at 4
4 millimeter, yeah. So these are our brood fish. So we will use pellets, but normally you're looking for BSF and green water. But because we are trying to just get them as fat as possible, it's not so much about the economics of using pellets. We just want fast, strong growth. Yeah. So Sam was just telling him, Timothy. This is Timothy. He's a porter on our site. But he was just telling him to stop feeding because you can see there's some feed floating, so that's where you stop because you don't want to waste feed. So wait till they've taken it all and then you keep going if they need it. So this is these are the rental ponds. So these 3 ponds actually don't belong to us, but there was a fish farmer, he's moved into another district, he's not interested, rent them out, and we've just renovated them. And so that's what's happening here. They're fixing them at the moment. You can see the new line of sacks and some tarpaulin over there just to stop water. But this is essentially the holding areas for males and females. So when they're not breeding, they need about a month to rest, mostly for the females, to be honest. The males just keep going at it, but they harass the females. It was like, that's the case in every species, right? So the females need a month to rest, recuperate, put on a bit of weight, get their eggs, their body prepared for laying lots of eggs. And then after about a month or so, you would then put them into the breeding ponds. There are a series of 3 over there, and then you can start breeding them. So this is where we'll hold them whilst we're not doing that. And then, like I said, so we're sort of halfway through more than halfway through the hatchery process, but at the moment we've got some males and females in these happers. Females in this one, males in there, like I said earlier, and then some mixed sex fingerlings, because the grading wasn't done perfectly, and that's because when we first graded males and females, we'd separated them out. They're quite small, so you can make errors. So actually, when we drained that pond, they found a whole load of fingerlings. So that mixed sex fingerlings are good quality stuff, and we've actually just sold them, I think, to a farmer. The demand is there, certainly for fingerlings. And it's been so frustrating all this time not being able to meet the demand. So yeah, it's very exciting for us. So like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm very excited because everything that farmers need to succeed, we now have. We've got a hatchery, we've got the feed, we've got the market, we've got the expertise, we've got the cold chain logistics. So we're here, and it feels like it's been a number of years to get to this point, but finally we've got everything in place to really start flying as a business and helping farmers to reach their full potential. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.